Hi guys. Right, what I want to talk about today is the timing of food. So there's loads of myths out there that people are saying and even PTs and nutritionists talk about. Even the NHS are setting some really sort of bad myths that just aren't true. So I want to smash them today. I also want to talk about nutrition and timings of when you eat or consume calories and in relation with performance. So, some of the myths. So, people say the most important meal of the day is your breakfast. So, this is just not true. So, the reason why the NHS say this is the studies that they've done and they've looked at, they thought if people have their breakfast, they're less likely to binge later on. But it's not the most important meal at all. In fact, a lot of people fast through breakfast and they find that that's the time of day when they don't need to eat calories or they don't feel like eating. So if you've got an allocated amount of calories and you're on a fat loss journey, then why waste your calories on a time when you're not hungry? Why not keep your calories for a time that you are hungry? So do you get what I'm saying? So if it's a fat loss journey, which a lot of people want to lose fat, even people want to put muscle on want to lose fat. So if it is a fat loss journey, it doesn't matter if you have your breakfast or not, all right? So that's the first one. So the next one is people say you can't eat after 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock because then, unbelievably, they say, or people say, that it will turn to fat when you sleep. Now, this is absolutely crazy as well, and it's just not true, all right? So don't listen to that. Now, a lot of people say eat little and often. Now, you don't have to eat little and often, and it will have no bearing on your results. Now, if you eat little and often, say you've got 1,500 calories a day, and you have meals that are 250, and you have lots and lots of little meals, and at the end of the day, the total comes to 1,500. If you had all 1,500 in one meal at the end of the day, your results will be exactly the same. All right. So that is just not true either. So if you were to, I don't know, say you spread it out 3 meals, like equal meals, that doesn't matter. So there's lots of myths out there. It doesn't matter when you eat. It's all about staying within the balance of your calories for the day, okay? Now, another thing is when it comes to protein and building muscle. Now, slightly inconclusive on this one. If you're under 30, a lot of studies suggest that you try and share out the amount of protein that you have across a day. So say if your target's 100 grams of protein, then a lot of studies suggest that maybe spreading that out has a better benefit. All right. Now, a lot of studies suggest that's not the case. So it's quite inconclusive with protein. Now, if you're just on a fat loss diet and you want to build a little bit of muscle, it won't make a huge difference if you slightly spread that out, or if you have that in sort of 2 packs, if you like, of 50 grams of protein per day. It should not make a real difference. Because the studies are inconclusive, that suggests, across different studies, that suggests that it really doesn't make a difference, all right? Now, where there is studies that suggest that this makes a difference is adults over 40, especially males. So a lot of studies have been done on this, and they, over the age of 30 and especially over the age of 35, if say your target of protein is 100 grams a day to achieve your target, then what the studies suggest is it's more effective to have 2 huge packs of protein in at the same time. So just say it's 100, you would maybe try and split it into 240s grams meals and then pump that through the system, and that tends to, in studies, have a better effect on muscle build. All right, so there's a little thing there. Not many people know that. That's information from Martin MacDonald, who I class as the best in the world, and a lot of people class him as the best in the world at the moment. He looks at every latest study and puts it all together. So when it comes to fat loss, don't worry about the timings of your meals and your food and your drink intake, your calorie intake. As long as you hit your target for the day, you will have the same result as if you split that up. So what you're better off doing is thinking about when you are hungry. So you're better off thinking about when you're hungry and then keeping the calories for that time. So a lot of people get hungry on the night time. So what you're better off doing is leaving more calories for an evening when you do become really hungry and quite snacky. All right, make sure you track it all. So I just thought I would give you a hand on that, guys. When it comes to performance in sport, one of the only other differences is carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates obviously contain that is the macro that gives you a lot of energy. Now, if you were to have zero carbs, Poliquin, actually, one of the most famous nutritionists, or infamous nutritionists in the world, he was hired by Newcastle United as their nutrition coach in the days where Lee Clark was there. I was an apprentice there at the same time. Now, he had them on zero carbs, incredibly. Had them on zero carbs, and he was theorizing that energy would convert from the fat and the protein in the diets, and they don't need carbs at all. In fact, a lot of the players were going into games energyless. They couldn't quite get through 90 minutes. And soon after, Poliquin was actually asked to leave Newcastle quite politely, and they started eating carbs again. The same players that were eating carbs at Newcastle, energy levels came up and they were absolutely fine and they could play 90 minutes. So this in itself was a little mini experiment, but it's in millions and millions of studies across the world that carbohydrates obviously give you energy. Of course they do. So with that and the little mini experiment that Newcastle obviously went through, it's very, very clear that you do need to think about your carbohydrate intake around sport. Now, a lot of studies suggest that this is a carb load. So sort of 24 hours before a big game is the optimal time to obviously get a lot of carbs down you. The numbers of this depends on what you're doing. So if you're doing a marathon, if you're doing football or rugby or something like that, it's obviously very different in times. I used to train a cyclist who used to cycle for miles and miles and miles, a full day, and his target is very different from some of the footballers that I train. So you would have to look at an individual level, but one thing's for sure, if you wait till on the day to carb up, it's almost too late. You need to carb up a day or 2 days before in preparation for your big game or your big race, because the carbohydrates need to be stored in the liver, in the muscles already going into the game or into the cycle. All right, so that's a brief talk on timings of food, and it's also a brief talk on carbohydrates a little bit as well, and the timing of the carbohydrates for performance. So I hope that helps, guys. I've got in just under 9 minutes. I didn't want to waffle on. I want to keep quite short. If there's any more questions on that, then let me know. If I've missed anything off, just ask away. But I hope this has helped you on some of the questions you have. So thanks, guys, and have a great day.